All right, so today we're talking about the brand new Blu-ray release of My Best Friend is a Vampire from the Vestron Collectors series, as well as my entire collection of Vestron Blu-rays. This is only one half of the stack. I only had one spare hand. How's it going, my friends? Welcome again to the Cobwebs channel. My name is Daniel. And yeah, first up, we're going to talk about this new Blu-ray for My Best Friend is a Vampire. And then I'm going to go through my whole collection from spine number 1 to the last one that I have. Vestron, for me, is one of my favorite Blu-ray labels. This collector series is one of the most consistent collector series of Blu-rays when it comes to value for your price, because they're sold for really good prices, but also quality of the transfer, of the special features, and of the slipcover. And let me tell you something right now about Vestron slipcovers. Vestron is the only Blu-ray label where I am a total nutcase for the slipcovers. Any other Blu-ray label, I might prefer the slipcover, especially with Vinegar syndrome, but I'll take it without the slipcover, that's fine. For Vestron, I only want the slip, because all of these are spine numbered. I have them all together, all in order. They look very uniform together, and I want them to all look the same. I don't want no slipcovers standing out. So, and they just look really nice. I just really like them. So, My Best Friend is a Vampire. This just came out this past week. This is a movie from 1988, and I was super excited when this got announced because I love 80s vampire movies, particularly 80s teen vampire movies. Viewers of this channel know that Fright Night is my favorite movie, so of course that's my favorite 80s vampire movie, but also there's Lost Boys, there's Vamp, there's Once Bitten, there's a lot of teen vampire movies from the 80s I love, and I was so excited to discover another one. And I had a lot of fun with this movie. I really enjoyed it. It's actually PG rated, which I didn't know going in, so it's really light on the horror elements. Very, very light. This is very much a teen comedy with some light vampire elements thrown in there. The lead is actually the guy who wants to do plays from Dead Poets Society. He's actually the lead in this movie, and he's got a crush on a girl. He's got a best friend who's trying to push him to be more aggressive with girls. It's kind of some typical 80s teen stuff, but he gets bitten by a vampire. He's turning into a vampire, and this movie takes the stance that most vampires are actually good, and they just drink animal blood, and the vampire hunter, played by David Warner, you can see right there, he's actually the antagonist. He's just kind of this crazy guy that wants to kill all vampires, whether they're good or not. And you know what? That's not my favorite kind of thing when it comes to vampire movies. I would rather see evil vampires. I would rather see vampires biting people's necks and killing people. I guess I'm a Dracula purist, something like that. And this sort of just vampires are nice and, you know, not my favorite thing. And the girl who plays his love interest, truly one of the worst actors I've seen in a long time. And I'm used to 80s horror movies and yikes, but I had fun with this one. So that's spine number 30. With all that said, let's go ahead and move along the collection, starting off with spine number 1. And that is Chopping Mall. I really like this movie. Like a lot of people, I was kind of underwhelmed by it the first time that I saw it because it doesn't live up to the title or the poster. This really sells you a slice and dice slasher movie. It's actually about a bunch of teens who want to party. They lock themselves up in a mall to hang out for the night, and the mall has security robots that try to kill them. And it's very pleasant. I've just grown. This has become a comfort movie for me. I just think it's so much fun. Love the cast, including Barbara Crampton. And oh gosh, who is the other girl that I love in this movie? Kelly Maroney from Night of the Comet. Fantastic. So that's just a very fun movie. I'm not really going to be showing you the inside because it's always the exact same art for Vestron. They never have reversible cover art. So that's that. Spine number 2 is actually Blood Diner, and I used to have Blood Diner, and I actually got rid of it because the slipcover version was going for a lot of money. I wasn't sure I wanted to be a Vestron collector at that point, and I didn't really like the movie, so I got rid of it, but I kind of regret that. I wish I had it because I've become a Vestron collector by now. In the beginning, I used to just buy them occasionally because they were like $25 to $30 a piece. But then at a certain point, they lowered their prices dramatically, and I started collecting them all. And now I kind of want the whole set, pretty close. And I'm pretty close to have the whole set by now. Spine number 3 is Waxwork and Waxwork 2. Now, I really love Waxwork, but also, look at this. You got reversible cover art here. You can have I just said they never have reversible cover art. This is the one. So you can have the cover be waxwork or waxwork too. That's something that I really love about Vestron. They are very likely to include sequels in their releases. And while I feel like a lot of Blu-ray labels lately are discovering that they can not release franchise box sets and release the movies one by one and drain the wallets a lot more of collectors like us. And I like that at least to this point, Vestron doesn't do that. If there's sequels, they just throw it on there for basically no extra price. So that's very cool. Waxwork is a ton of fun. Waxwork 2 is not nearly as good, but it's decently fun. I love this release. One of the best releases they've done, probably. Spine number 4 is Return of the Living Dead 3. This is actually in contention for the best movie they've released, I think. It's fantastic. I think it's the best Return of the Living Dead movie. It's definitely the most serious one. And it's got some really dark stuff. It's kind of a dark, twisted romance, but an excellent movie with a great emotional core and absolutely disgusting gore effects. Directed by Brian Yuzna. He actually directed quite a few movies in here, as well as Anthony Hickox. I feel like Vestron is real big. They're big on Anthony Hickox and Brian Yuzna. Next up, spine number 6. I don't have 5. That's Bud, Chud 2, Bud the Chud. Don't have it, but I kind of want it. I think I'm going to seek that out on eBay. Let's see, Lair of the White Worm. This is a Ken Russell movie, and it's pretty good. It's pretty entertaining. It's got an early performance from Hugh Grant, which I really like, because I absolutely love Hugh Grant. It's based on a Bram Stoker story. It's a weird vampire story, where the vampires kind of take after snakes more than bats, as a traditional vampire would be. It's a pretty cool little late 80s kind of gothic movie. I enjoy it. Next up, spine number 7, we have got Parents. And I've only seen this movie once when I bought the Blu-ray, and I don't like this movie pretty much at all. It's about a kid and his parents are cannibals, I think. I don't even remember very well. It's very weird, trippy, kind of experimental. I guess I respect that a little bit, but I don't really like the movie. Let's see, spine number 8. I think this is the first Vestron that I ever bought. This is like one of the most must-own Vestrons, and that is The Gate, which is a fantastic kind of gateway horror movie about kids and tiny little demon monsters. There's some satanic horror in here, which I think is pretty cool. There's some metal stuff going on, and I really like the relationship between young Steven Dorff, who's the main little boy in this, and his sister. Really good, just like the siblings relationship that really grounds a good emotional core for the movie. Really love The Gate. Fantastic effects in that movie. Who doesn't love that? Another one of the earlier Vestrons that I got, spine number 9. This is the Wishmaster collection. I remember I didn't buy this new and pay full price. I got the slipcovered edition on eBay for really cheap. I remember like around $12, $15. Absolutely crazy. But the Wishmaster, this is another must-own, I think, because Wishmaster is an amazing 90s horror movie packed with cameos from tons of different great horror actors. Again, incredible special effects, and just a really memorable villain, the Wishmaster, the evil genie. He kind of talks like this. He's so much fun. And this is another example of Vestron. If there's sequels, they're going to give them to you, and it's amazing. They've got Wishmaster 2, 3, and 4. I haven't watched any of those, I admit, but a good buddy of mine who's a co-host of the Terror Table podcast, one of my favorite horror podcasts, he's a big fan of Wishmaster 2, so I have been meaning to check that out on his recommendation. Next up, I'm so ashamed to say I haven't seen this movie. Spine number 10, The Unholy. Okay, I really wanted to watch this before doing this video because I feel like every video I've seen where someone talks about their Vestron collection, no one has ever seen this movie. Like, it feels like no one in the world has watched The Unholy, and I wanted to be like the first person to watch The Unholy and talk about it in a video. And I forgot to watch it before making this video, so oh well. It's a religious horror movie from the late 80s. Unholy, I will watch it. Subscribe to the channel because this will come up soon in a monthly watch list video. I do a video at the end of every month talking about my watch list, all the Blu-rays I've watched. This will come up soon, so subscribe. That's all I'm saying. Next up, we've got Warlock, another early Vestron Blu-ray that I got, spine number 11. I love Warlock. I think it's fantastic. I always describe it like if you're in the mood for a folk horror movie, but you're not in the mood for how serious and grim and heavy those movies usually are, watch Warlock. It's got the aesthetics of a folk horror movie. It's got that fun witchy stuff. I love witchy Warlock kind of stuff in movies. But it's fun. It's light. It's fun. It's a great time. Next up, we've got Slaughter High. This is probably one of the most popular Vestron Blu-rays. People were really excited about this when this came out, I remember. And it's a pretty good slasher movie. If I were to make a top 10 list, which I think I do want to on this channel, of like 80s slasher movies that never got a sequel, underrated slasher movies. I don't think this would make the cut, so I don't love it that much, but I love 80s slashers, and it's a decently good time, so I'm happy to have it. Next, okay, this is really sad for me. Be respectful in my time of grief. Class of 1999, no slipcover. Yes, I know. Okay, I just ordered this in Diabolic DVD's recent Vestron sale. They were selling Vestrons for $15.99, and they said they have some slipcovers, but they would not tell you which ones had slipcovers. I actually ordered these two, spine number 14 and 15, Class of 99 Beyond ReAnimator. Thankful Beyond ReAnimator did come with a slip. Class of 99 didn't. I haven't even opened this yet. I'm undecided if I'm going to. I might just find somewhere on eBay. Someone's selling a slip-covered version, then get rid of this. I know that sounds crazy to some people, but I'm telling you, this is the only Blu-ray label I'm a crazy person like this for. I want the slips. Because, like, just look how great these look together. So good. Slipcover, a non-slipcovered edition thrown in there really throws things off. But yeah, this is a sequel to Class of 1984, which I really like. Haven't seen this yet, but we'll see when I get to it. We'll see. And then, yeah, spine number 15 is Beyond ReAnimator. Haven't seen this one yet either. Huge fan of ReAnimator. I'm a decent fan of Bride of ReAnimator, although I do think it's missing the Barbara Crampton factor. But yeah, looking forward to checking this out. Okay, this video is going long. Spine number 16, we've got Dagon. And this is a Stuart Gordon movie, a phenomenal Stuart Gordon movie. From the 2000s, actually. Vestron very rarely gets into the 2000s. It's normally always 80s, 90s. But fantastic Stuart Gordon Lovecraft movie about a sea god that's taken over a town. It's awesome. I love it. So happy Vestron put this out. Man, just a fantastic release. One of my favorites. Next up, we got Maximum Overdrive, which is one that I just recently got and recently watched for the first time. And I had a pretty good time with it. It's not a great movie, but it kind of got built up for me as like one of the craziest movies ever made. Stephen King directed while he was on a lot of partaking in some drugs. It wasn't as crazy as people built it up to be. It's basically a zombie movie, except the zombies are all machines come to life and start killing people, and people hold up and they're trying to survive. It's okay, but that's an amazing slipcover right there. Absolutely love that. Next, okay, this is interesting. This is a turning point. So Maximum Overdrive was the last one they released for a long time, and it seemed like they were done. And then they came back with two releases, spine number 18 and 19. Shivers and Little Monsters. I remember when these came out the same day. I bought them both right away because they were both super cheap. This was when Vestron started dropping off those $25, $30 price tags and started selling them for about $12, $10. And I remember getting these for about $12 a piece. I was so excited about it. Shivers, I'd already seen this before. It's David Cronenberg's first movie, and pretty cool, low budget Canadian horror film. I don't love it. It's not one of my favorite Cronenbergs, but very happy to have a nice Blu-ray edition of it. And then Little Monsters, I just recently saw and talked about on this channel and didn't love it. I should have seen it when I was a kid. I don't have the nostalgia attached to it. Next up, one of the times I have been the most excited about an upcoming Vestron release. I couldn't believe it when they announced this. That's The Wraith. I love The Wraith. It is an 80s teen movie, kind of an action movie, kind of a little bit of a horror fantasy about a guy who dies and it's basically High Plains Drifter with Clint Eastwood, honestly, except with teenagers and Charlie Sheen. It's incredibly fun. It has a great 80s vibe, amazing soundtrack. Great car chases. I absolutely love this movie. This is a movie that I watched several times on streaming, like on Tubi with ads, and it was never available on Blu-ray. Couldn't have been happier when Vestron announced it. Absolutely love this. And I'm glad they went with the original poster art too, because you cannot beat the original poster art for The Wraith. Great movie. One of my absolute favorite movies they have released. Next up, Sundown, The Vampire in Retreat. Man, I didn't know what to think about this when they announced it, when they put it out, but I'm so glad they did because I watched it and I loved it. It's an Anthony Hickox vampire comedy, really delivers on the vampire elements in ways that My Best Friend is a Vampire does not. But it has an amazing cast of people like David Carradine, Deborah Foreman, M. Emmett Walsh, Bruce Campbell, who actually has a decent role in the movie. I kind of expected Bruce Campbell to be a cameo, but he really wasn't. This is awesome. This is like one of my top recommendations too. As you can tell, I love Vestron. Vestron, and I was so happy to get this. Next up, oh man, Dementia 13. Kind of ashamed to say I haven't watched this one yet. Spy number 22. This is the director's cut of Dementia 13, a 1960s horror film directed by Francis Ford Coppola, his first movie. Very cool to see Vestron get into the 60s. This is another one I totally intended to watch before this video and didn't get around to it. So I will soon subscribe to check out those watchlist videos where I'll talk about these. Next up, we've got Steel Dawn. Okay, Patrick Swayze action movie. Talked about this a couple of times on the channel too. Pretty cool little Mad Max riff. Very much following the template of Shane, starring Patrick Swayze. I enjoy it. Next, Spy number 24, Candyman Day of the Dead. At the point when Vestron started being really cheap after Shivers, Little Monsters, I've been buying them all basically right away. This is one I waited on. I was resistant. I resisted it because I've heard this movie is terrible. I've heard it's so much worse than the second Candyman movie. This is the third. And I don't even like the second Candyman movie. I really just like the first one. But I bought it. So I'll check it out. I love the first Candyman, like I said. It's kind of a special movie between my wife and I because it scared her so bad. It was the first movie I showed her that scared her because she cannot be scared by almost anything. I don't like Candyman 2. We'll see about Candyman 3. I don't know. Next up, I also remember how excited I was about this release. Dream a Little Dream. This is another movie I'd only watched on streaming before. Loved it. Absolutely loved this movie. It's a teen movie starring Corey Feldman, Corey Haim, and let's see, Meredith Salinger. That's right. Oh, and it's also got Jason Robarbs and Piper Laurie, Harry Dean Stanton. Amazing cast. It's a very confusing fantasy where an old man's consciousness goes into the body of a teenager. And his wife's consciousness goes into this teenage girl, but she's not aware of it. And he has to romance her to like get them back in their old bodies. It's very weird and confusing. It's one of the strangest movies that I absolutely love. I love Corey Feldman and Corey Haim. They're great in this. Meredith Salinger is fantastic here. I love Dream a Little Dream. It's a big favorite for me. Also in contention for one of my favorite releases they've put out. Next up, Extreme Prejudice. Another very exciting announcement for me, even though I'd never seen the movie. I'd heard a lot about this movie, a Walter Hill action movie that I heard was great. And I was very excited to finally get a chance to see it because it was like so unavailable before this. And, I watched it and I didn't love it. I wasn't a big fan. I wasn't interested in the characters at all. The action is pretty few and far between, which is surprising to me because I always heard how badass this movie is. And not a lot of action in it, really. But it's starring Nick Nolte and Powers Booth, and that's great. They're both great, but it didn't do a lot for me. But I'll give it a revisit, definitely, because a lot of people love this one. And it's got a really, really cool cover there. Very cool little different release for Vestron. I like that they've really been switching it up. They were a horror label at first, and they've been doing a lot of different stuff. Earth Girls Are Easy, another movie I was already a big fan of before it got announced. So exciting. Love Earth Girls Are Easy. So much fun. Gina Davis, Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey. It's a alien sci-fi comedy, very goofy. It has a couple of musical numbers, and there's an interview on the disc. I haven't really mentioned special features, but I just watched this. There's an interview on the disc from the writer and co-star, the girl who plays Gina Davis's friend. Really insightful, very interesting. Next up, one of their best releases, Silent Night, Deadly Night Collection 3, 4, and 5. I did a whole video on this. I absolutely love this. I was a big fan of the movies, and this is great. I think it's kind of a must-own for horror fans. And then their most recent release, other than My Best Friend is a Vampire, The Dentist 1 and 2. I really like The Dentist. I was very surprised by it. I didn't expect much from it, because I don't really like this cover. It's almost so grotesque. It's just off-putting. But yeah, Corbin Burnson plays the dentist who loses his mind and starts killing people. He's excellent. Very good performance in a movie you wouldn't expect to have a terrific performance. I haven't watched The Dentist 2 yet, but I really like this. And then after The Dentist is My Best Friend is a Vampire. So that's the Vestron series. I believe I'm only missing 3. Blood Diner, Chud 2, and Gothic. And by the way, Gothic was the movie that I watched it on streaming, that made me think maybe I don't want to be a Vestron completionist, because I hated Gothic. I love Gothic horror, but that movie was an unbelievable chore to get through. And that made me think, well, maybe I don't need to be a completionist, but I want Chud 2. Oh no. Oh boy. Can we do this? I'm not editing this. I'm keeping all this in. You guys know I like to do this, even though it's so risky, but it adds suspense to the channel. What was I even saying? Yeah, I really want Chud 2, and that other one I mentioned. I might get Blood Diner even though. I might give it a second chance. Anyway, Vestron, are you a fan? Let me know down in the comments below. What have you got? What are some of your favorites from them? Are you picking up My Best Friend is a Vampire? Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, check out my recent unboxing of my Vinegar Syndrome halfway to Black Friday sale haul. I think you'll really enjoy that. If you're a horror fan, give a like if you enjoyed this and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. Without further ado, go enjoy yourself, have some fun today, and I'll see you next time.